All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 10 of the Whitey and Will Sports Show. It is Sunday, November 14th, and the girls' basketball season is getting ready to get underway. And so we thought with that on the precipice of taking place, we would get the three girls basketball coaches from the Effingham County High Schools on the show with us this week. And so, Mike, we are fortunate enough to be joined by Coach Laurie Thompson from Teutopolis High School. Laurie, if you want to give us a little wave. Jeff Schafer from Effingham High School, and Aaron Rios, the girls basketball coach at St. Anthony High School. And so all three of them have been nice enough to take some time out of their evening to talk to us, and we'll get a little bit of a look into what they are thinking about as far as their seasons go. Coaches, the first thing I wanted to ask you, and this is open to anybody who wants to chime in, but how nice has it been to have a normal lead up to a season after last year, where we didn't know for sure when or if we were going to do basketball and how it was going to look? How nice has it been to just know that practice starts in November, you've got a couple of weeks, and it's time to play some games?
I can answer first.
Go.
Hats for sure. Basketball wise, yes. It was good to get into the gym. The kids were excited to get in the gym. It's kind of like Christmas morning. You'd open that first present, and away we would go on. And also as an AD, for sure, being in the gym, people being allowed to come to watch us play. There's a goal, and that's what's really cool. So far, fingers crossed, we have a goal at the end of the season.
Yeah. Anyone else want to tackle that one?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Last year, I know that I was informed about a week before that we were going to be playing games that following Monday, and me and my wife had a weekend getaway to Florida. I'd never been out of the Illinois, maybe to Indiana or Missouri before, for the last 30 years, or even as a player in high school. So I didn't know what like a vacation was like in Florida during those winter months. But yeah, we were gone like a Friday, Saturday, came back on Sunday. I coached a game on Monday. So it was a little crazy. So it's nice to have that normalcy back.
Rios?
Yeah, and I'll just echo what Laurie and Jeff mentioned. The summer I thought was great. You had a chance to take the mask off, get into the gym, and really get a complete summer in. And they're really, from last year to really just at the last moment trying to prepare for the season, not knowing when we're going to go. And to this year, you get the chance to really put some preparation in and, kind of build up your team culture, where you want to go and what you want to do. And, the kids are ecstatic about it to get that opportunity and back on the floor. So really looking forward to the opportunity, and everyone's excited in our program about this year.
And Laurie, you mentioned having that goal to work toward, and that was, it was nice to get to play basketball last year, but how tough is it to get everybody motivated and pushing toward the goal that's not really there? There's no regional waiting for you. There's no postseason. What were the challenges there?
That is a challenge. With us, we were fortunate to get into the Apollo last year, which, okay, we could possibly win the conference. That was a goal. Okay, we're normally independent. So that was kind of cool. We had that one, but it quickly went downhill because we lost quite quickly in the Apollo, which had no chance of winning or going undefeated. That was another goal. So unfortunately, you can have lots of losses during the regular season and get to a postseason and still do awesome and still have other goals, which last year, we really didn't have that opportunity. So I'm excited for a postseason again.
Yep. Anyone else want to tackle that line of thinking?
Well, there was just, like she said, there's just nothing to you kind of build up all season to get ready for the end. And you always want to be playing your best basketball at the end. But, it's like, okay, what's the end result? It was more like, okay, it was nice for the kids to get to play. But if I had when you get a really good team in a year like that, it's just, you just feel awful for those coaches who are there year after year. They may get their one team that, could make a run. And, our team was not that last year, but, if we would have taken it from a couple of years ago, it would have really stung, so it probably didn't hurt quite as bad, but you just feel bad for the kids because you want every kid to be able to play a full season and get to, enjoy their high school.
And I would just say for us, the last few years, we've had a really young ball club. We've had one senior my first year on the job and one senior last year. This year we have 3 seniors. So, expectations of trying to prepare with 7 days and play a 14-game schedule. And, I think, our administration put on a tough schedule last year where we had to play Effingham, which we have them on the schedule this year from a 3A standpoint, and Laurie's team always a big challenge, and same with Jeff's. And we played Sullivan and some other bigger schools that were on the schedule, but I think that helped us through preparation for the summer. Kind of giving our tails kicked a little bit last year because we didn't have a lot of times to prepare, knowing that what we need to do this year to the expectations are high for us with really returning some pretty good veteran ball players.
And so that's a good segue, Coach Rios, into Mike, you got something?
Yeah, I got a question for Jeff. I'm pretty sure, was Mattoon your last game last year when you hosted them?
Boy, I think we had one after that for some reason, but it was one of our last 2.
Well, I just remember I helped Greg do that game on the radio. And I was surprised until I actually drove home and really thought about it. Because I knew it was one of your last games, but the emotions your girls showed after the game. Okay. And I thought about that, but then I go back to my days as a boys coach, that last postseason game, whether it's in a regional, sectional final, a super sectional, whenever that was, those emotions that come out of those kids when that game is over. And then I thought, that was probably that moment for your girls.
Right. And, it's one of the only season we've ever ended on a win. Some of them were graduating and then going on, and Annie already knew that she was going to be moving.
Right.
Across, so she knew that was going to be her last game as well. So it was a bunch of different emotions, but that was a positive. And
it was a heck of a ball game. You guys played well.
Yeah, we actually beat them twice and beat them by 1 and 2. I think the 2 times we played them. Those were probably 2 of our best games of the year.
So Coach Rios a second ago talked about, still getting something out of last year for this year. And so that's how I want to segue into some talk of this season. And Laurie, we're going to jump to you first. What does this season look like for you? What about your team are you looking forward to seeing as you guys get ready to play your first game Tuesday night?
Yeah. Well, we only had one senior last year. So I feel like, and it was a big senior, obviously a lot of scoring, but we're gonna have to find some place to, we gotta find other kids to step up and fill that spot. But I feel like so far, in practice, and I haven't been into a lot of practices. I've missed some due to other circumstances, but the kids were playing as a team, which is, it's cool. And that's already happening. And sometimes that doesn't happen till a little later, but I do see that. I do see very much team oriented, pass the ball pretty well right now. Looking to push the ball. We're long. So hopefully I'm going to try to do some little different with some defenses. So I think I have a lot of versatility with this bunch. Scoring though, we're going to have to get that figured out. Like I said, we need a game. We get to this point in the season, and I'm sure everybody else is thinking the same thing. You need a game to see where we're at. And I feel like, we might be hit or miss. And I have some young kids that are going to get in the mix too and get some experience because, like, again, last year, we lost a lot of gym time because we didn't practice as much. We tried to play as many games as possible, for people to come see their kids play. So I feel like your freshmen, even though they're sophomores, I feel like they're still freshmen. My seniors still feel like they're juniors because I just feel like I missed that year. But overall, I think will be exciting to watch one way or the other. Wins or losses, they're going to happen. But I feel like this team is just like they're really excited. And I think that's awesome because they know what they missed last year. And I think that's super important. And they've just been so focused in practice, which has been awesome.
Have you got any kids that may have been contributors last year, but someone that you're looking to take the next step for this season?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple sophomores that I'm hoping will get some minutes. They're not quite ready yet, but I think as soon as I can get in 4 weeks into the season, hopefully by Christmas even, those kids will be getting some quality minutes as well.
And how's the schedule looking? Was it tough to get the schedule back rolling again this year, or was it already kind of? I didn't know. I know last year messed some things up, but then how easy or difficult was it to get back into the swing of things as far as a normal schedule?
Yeah, we had some hiccups. I'll tell you that for sure. You know, there's a lot of confusion on home away, getting all that figured out. And then, you know, some people, we had some teams that changed conferences. So they wanted us to come there or they wanted to be away. And, you know, some people don't realize that schedule does not fall in place. And I was still working on schedules for all basketball up until a couple weeks ago, just getting everything lined up. But overall, our schedule is very much kind of close to what it was. We had picked up Mount Vernon. They replaced Mount Carmel. Everybody else is pretty much the same tournaments for us as well.
Mhm.
So, well, I say we're pretty consistent, but we did lose a couple of teams. We no longer will have Sullivan on our schedule because that typically would have been tomorrow night. We typically started with them. And trying to think what else we have. Picked up Fairfield. So that'd be another pickup for us to replace them.
Okay.
So
And
that's
who do you start with Tuesday? Couple nights from tonight.
with Newton.
Newton.
Newton will be Tuesday. Yep, at our place.
Okay. Mike, you want to jump in here? Or?
Laurie, who are you going to lean on this year for leadership? I know you said you had one senior in the last year, and Lexi was really fun kid to watch. I got to see you guys play a game or two too, also helping on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to know Lexi from when she played golf on the girls team and stuff. A really good leader. You got some leadership candidates this year?
Yeah, you know, that's something all good teams need good leaders for sure. And right now, because I knew that this is going to happen, but I feel like I have 4 seniors who I know want to lead. And I think it's going to maybe be a little bit of a joint effort because, you know, even in practice, you got a couple ones saying something. I have another one over there saying something. So that's good to see because I was very concerned about that. And it still is a concern. I think I've got a junior that, you know, would help him as well. So hopefully my seniors kind of do kind of a joint effort in that part. And someone, you know, I always I like for it to be a guard. There's just no doubt in my mind, but we'll wait and see. But I think there's definitely potential there that we can have some good leadership.
Does that come from the fact, Laurie, that you were a guard, or just you like all coaches like that guard to be a leader?
Someone who's in charge, and I'll tell you what, the point guard's in charge out there. If you have a true point guard, and that's another thing, some teams don't have true point guards. In fact, a little bit, I've got a couple kids I want to be running the point. So you have to have leadership. There's no doubt about it. If you don't have leadership, your team's not going to go far.
And I will say, Friday night, I was at the dedication ceremony for the naming of the court in honor of Dennis, which I thought was a tremendous thing. And you guys did a great job with that. And then I got to watch you guys and the boys both kind of do your beat the wooden shoe scrimmage. And I know what you're talking about when you say you're going to know a lot about your team at Christmas. But I think you've got depth, you've got intangibles, you've got some people. It's just seeing if they're going to step up and achieve what they're capable of. I think you have some girls that don't know how good they can be as individuals. And I think, you know, but that's going to be a growing process because, you know, like I said, it's all brand new again almost.
Right. Oh, for sure. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot in the first few weeks, you know, when you jump right in and you're starting with tournaments and you learn a lot about your team for sure.
So Jeff, let's move on to you for a minute here. What are we looking for from your team? What are you looking forward to as far as the upcoming season?
Well, I think you could almost push rewind what Laurie said, and that's always a good sign because they're always really, really good. But I feel like we have depth. We have the younger players that have all kind of taken that step forward that you really need because we lost our two leading scorers from last year. One went on to college, and then one went to moved away. But this summer I had no idea what to expect, and I was just so pleasantly surprised with how we kind of put it all together. And I always say they have a really high basketball IQ. I got 2 point guards that one I would like to like Laurie said, be a little bit better leader. But one takes total control, and if she's not running the point, she can go play any position, which is kind of when you change your lineup or sub in, sometimes things don't run as smoothly. But I was just so pleased and excited what happened, how we played this summer. Not one time have I had to talk about effort in practice or things like that. And I thought we passed the ball great until we had our little inter-squad scrimmage the other day and turned it over like 4 times in the first 6 minutes. But I think we only had like 2 turnovers after that. But so I mean, we're quick. They play together so well. We're gonna have to shoot it good. But it's kind of a team that I feel really comfortable coaching because we're kind of built around all that guard play.
So you talk about not having to, not having to tell them to work hard. That's got to be nice to get into practice and not have to give any of those speeches the first week, right? To not have to be getting on people about how you want them to play, but to just get to the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like these habits started a long, long time ago. Back when Emily Heck and Sadie Powell's were they kind of shared the point guard duties. And if the coaches weren't out at practice at 3:10, they would start with. And now ever since that's happened, if the coaches, aren't out there at 3:10, that they're starting without us, and that's just carried over. And that was, I don't want to think of how old those kids are right now, because that just tells you how long we've been doing this. But just those good habits, as a coach, you just want them to carry over. Yeah, those little, because for us to be good, the intangibles are so important.
Mike, you got anything?
Yeah, Jeff, and again, doing your game last year, one of your kids coming back really impressed me. And I know you and I talked about it a little bit, just how well she sees the floor. As I'm watching the game, I watch it differently than a fan because I'm watching it as a coach, and I'm, looking at things happening and seeing a kid coming up the floor with the ball in transition and seeing opportunities and then putting herself in position to make those opportunities happen. And I think that's what so impressed me. And like I said, I hope to get to see you guys play before Christmas. I just want to see her progression.
Yeah, we work a lot on that. We had twice the other night in the scrimmage where we made one pass, threw it up the floor, and drained a 3 within 2 or 3 seconds, just because of that, the vision that Madison Mapes has, and then
Right.
Sawyer does a great job as well. I mean, on the dribble, I don't know very many kids around that probably will get it up the floor as fast as she can. And she's such a great defender. And that's where Madison, I think, has become so much better as well. And then we're working on trying to train the next point guard, for a couple of years later.
Sure.
She's there every day in practice right behind those two, trying to learn. So when they're gone, she knows what to do. It's just that learning curve that you're always trying to, plus it's just fun to watch when you get the older kids like stopping and explaining things in practice, like, hey, this is why we do stuff. This is this is where you need to, this is why you need to set this screen here, or this is why you need to set up your cut, or just the little intangibles. That's when you know you have a chance to be pretty good, because all those, attention to detail things happen.
You talk about being guard oriented. Are you talking more of an up and down the floor type of game, or are you talking like work it around, get the open shot? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because do I go away from what I do best? Sometimes, we don't get to pick our kids. That's the one thing about being a high school coach, is that we get who comes to our place. So, we're definitely going to push the ball up the floor. And then, I know my assistant coach wants to, put a little more pressure on. And I've always been more of a zone press type person, but I always had like a 6'1" or a 5'11" kid that had some height on there, where made him throw it over the top a lot and cause them a little problems, which we don't really have that right now. Madison keeps growing, so we could probably put her there. So that's still something that we're trying to decide. I just feel like we become such a good half court man defense. Like, the older I get, the less I like to give up easy baskets. So that's a tough one, but that's still a work in progress. Kind of like what you heard Laurie say, that she's going to play with whatever until she figures out what's going to be best for the team. So it's just the bad thing that in our conference, do you put pressure on Mallory Ramage from Mattoon, who's the first team All-Stater, or do you put pressure on the Frobe girl from Lincoln, who's an All-Stater? Lexi was an All-Stater as well. So I mean, our conference last year was just full of them, and so hard. So we got to play everybody twice too, so that makes it a little more difficult. So we'll kind of see how our depth goes, and then kind of keep messing around with it and figure out what's going to be best by the second part of the year.
Very good. So Coach Rios, we've talked to Laurie, who's getting ready for her 16th season at T-Town, and Jeff's getting ready for his 24th season. You're getting ready for your third. So you're in a little bit different boat. You've been having to kind of get the lay of the land the last couple of years. And last year was not last year it's hard to get a ton out of it. So where are you at as far as a program now, as you're kind of you've got a foothold in there?
Yeah, good question. Congratulations, Laurie and Jeff, for 16 and 30 years. And I also want to thank Jeff, because we have a tough schedule this year. We only have 9 home games, and the reason we have 9 is because Jeff was accommodating to come and play us this year at our home court. So really appreciate that, Jeff, and the communication we had to make that game happen. It's been challenging. My first year on the job, for some of the season, we had 7 or 8 players because of injuries, and because kids had lost a little bit of interest in our school from a basketball standpoint. Last year it was an adjustment and kind of go on the fly, and we played our first 4 games in six days last year, so really didn't get a lot of preparation time, just like everybody else. So it was nothing different. There was even playing field across the board, and I feel good about the team culturally this year. We're getting our foundation in of who we are and who we want to be. We've had really good guard play the last few years, coming back on the roster with Riley Guy and Grace Karalevich from a senior standpoint, and Izzy Hackman as well. All 3 really good guards that had to grow up, early in our program from a sophomore standpoint. They played big minutes for us for sophomores and last year as juniors. We really only had a true big the last 2 years is Lucy Fearday, and she's played really well for us the last few years. But I'm excited this year because from a roster standpoint, we've got Lucy, who's right at 6 foot. We have Abby Hatton, who's came into St. Anthony this year's right at 6 foot, 6'1", probably really 6'5" wingspan. We've got Maddie Kibler, who's right at 5'10", 5'11", plays tough inside. And then we have a freshman, Addie Nuxel, who's right at 5'9", 5'10" as well. So I'm ecstatic. I've been excited to see these girls get up and down the last 2 weeks in practice. I've been excited to see our senior leadership and Lucy and Anna Faber step up from an upperclassman standpoint, and it's really good to see these girls gelling together, having a great culture, really building on what we've tried to do the last 2 years. And it just all the hard work that the coaching staff has put in and the players believe in what we're doing. I feel we have the most talent we've had in the last 3 years on the roster, but that doesn't mean, without execution that we're going to have a successful season. So we just keep talking about every day we've got to get better. Every day we've got to continue to believe in what we're trying to do and make adjustments as we go, knowing that throughout the season, just like everyone else, we're going to face adversity, and it all depends on how we react to that adversity. So overall, I'm very pleased, ecstatic. Coming in, similar to, like Jeff mentioned, the kids get started at 3:10, no matter if the coach is there or not. It's been an easier transition for me because I don't have to jump into drills and show drills. I don't have to jump in and show our offenses because our team know how to do that. I don't have to lead ball handling drills, and I don't have to lead shooting drills, which is difficult for a guy that's overweight in his 40s. So makes it easy for me now. The kids are making it easier for me now, and excited about where we're at.
Well, that kind of leads me to another thing. I mean, you talk about execution and those kind of things get taken care of in practice, but you've talked about numbers in your first couple of seasons, and that makes just numbers in your program and being able to run things in practice, that makes it challenging to even get ready for a game time situation, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've had myself, assistant coaching staff, and even my son, who's now in college. He was kind of our manager his senior year. Those were some players during practice where you got a whistle in your mouth and you're running motion offense at the same time. But it's been a blast for me. I'm very blessed to get this opportunity to coach at our school. I'm excited about what we've done, and I think going through those times for us it just made us hungrier and more prepared for where we're trying to be this year and who we want to be. And I wouldn't change anything we've done the last few years to get prepared for where we're at today.
We got Mike.
Coach, I kind of chuckled when you talked about having to participate in drills. See, I always avoided that. I was afraid kids were going to hurt me. So I made sure I had plenty of kids in practice, so I never had to deal with that. But, Schafer's laughing more than anybody. That's all right. But
Well, I just remember Mandy McCollum working me over in the post. Back when I was to do that,
I was helping at T-Town and
harder to
we were doing a drill, and I literally had my back turned and was talking to somebody on the sideline, and Reed Hardick's running full blast down the floor with his head turned, looking for the ball to come, and he just creamed me. But Reed took the worst of that. So I always joke with him about that. Even though I wasn't looking, I still dished it out to him. But I do remember, back in my day when I was at Hudsonville, I had to do what you're talking about, Coach Rios. I had to go out there and show kids, drills and things. And it's kind of hard because as a coach, if you don't do it exactly how you want them to see it, then you feel bad and you got to do it again. And then it's like, now we just wasted 5 minutes because I'm having a hard time really explaining this cut they got to take because I'm not agile enough to make the cut the way I want the kids to make it. So, I understand what you're dealing with there. NTC, what's the outlook there? Who do you think is your, who's the cream of the crop this year, or who's got that target on their back in the NTC this year?
Yeah, I mean, to be the best, you got to beat the best. Neoga is the champions from last year, and they lose a couple of their senior leadership, and they still bring back most of their starters. So I anticipate them. They played well this summer. I anticipate them playing well. Altamont, they've got a beast and a point guard or a guard, and Grace Nelson there, and Coach Lurkins is always prepared and ready to play every team in the state. So they're going to be difficult, and we're not going to overlook anybody in the NTC. We're going to be prepared, like we have in the past, and we're going to be ready to go each night. And we feel that there's a lot of great teams in our league that we're going to have to compete with this season, And we feel we're right there to be able to compete with those teams, but we know we've got to go out and execute the game plan. So that's a long way away. We've got to get through the first few weeks, as Laurie mentioned, the first 4 weeks. We kick off our NTC schedule, I believe, on the 8th. We play Beecher City. And then shortly after that, we play Altamont as well. So that's kind of the outlook. I would say Neoga's probably strong coming in, Altamont strong coming in. And then the other teams, Beecher brings a different element with their new coach. He's been extremely successful as a coach. And so we only seen them play once this summer and don't really know what, from a game plan standpoint, that they're going to bring to the table. But ultimately, we're going to focus on what we need to do and what we need to focus on and what we need to do each night to be successful.
Jeff, Apollo wise, I know you mentioned the Ramage girl at Mattoon and the Frobe girl at Lincoln. Team wise, is there a pecking order? In Charleston, I think Shay Littleford's 10 years of eligibility are finally up. So,
Yeah, I'm tired of guarding her. Or Brittany Johnson or all the other ones that have played in that conference. The best news is that T-Town's not in there this year. So,
so you only have to play them once.
Two better games already. So, no, but I was glad that they got to jump in and get some games last year as well. But, with Lincoln having the Frobe girl, my pick last year was Mattoon to win the conference, or my second choice was Laurie. And just to show you how difficult the conference is, I was definitely wrong. And then Charleston runs the table, which I didn't think anybody could run the table against the teams that they had to play every time. So, then Mattoon, I think we only finished one game behind Mattoon, and they were there so good, but they played so many close. They came up on the bad end of a lot of really close games. So, I would still have to say that you're going to have to beat Lincoln and Mattoon to have a chance. But Charleston has a new coach, and Littleford's gone. So we have no idea what to expect there. Mount Zion has a new coach, and they got a really nice player to build around there as well. So. Yeah, I don't know how many different coaches I've coached against in that conference, but man, it's tough every year. But it's great because if your kids aren't prepared, you're going to lose. So I think, and I know that's why Laurie liked that last year, because if you didn't come and play, you were going to get beat, and that's kind of how it is. So I have no idea how we're going to do. I just know we're going to play hard every night. If we can just continue to progress, we might have a chance to be up there at the top.
And Laurie, you guys being independent again, now some of the people you couldn't play because of zones or whatever it was, but your friends down at Breeze, I think you have both Central and Mater Dei, correct?
Yes.
Those are cupcakes on your schedule. So you've got those two easy wins. But your schedule, you guys don't back down from anybody, and that's good, because that's why you've had success, and you've having those, going to the Highland tournament. You guys got to pack a lunch every time you go out.
Yeah, we were just talking about that tonight at practice, and it's weird because the schedule I played last year was so different than what I've played before. And all these teams were, Coach Cottrell was like, gosh, how's Breeze going to be? How's Mater Dei going to be? We're going through all these teams. I'm like, I don't know, because we really haven't seen them. So I said, we're going to be doing a little bit more scouting this year. And Josh is like, oh, man. I said, well, we have, because honestly, we haven't seen them because we didn't get to play them. We really didn't play them this summer either. So I didn't get to see some of those teams because of the zone area and what. So yeah, I'm close enough to Effingham. I'm going to get to see them, but like Civic Memorial. Honestly, I'll be honest. I don't know. I'm going to have to do scouting before we play them in January to see where we're at.
Because 2 years ago, Civic Memorial was really, really good. I mean, really good.
Yeah. And, you can think, okay, well, how'd you do in the JV game 2 years ago? Well, yeah, we can look at those and remember, but, you know as well as I do, there's kids develop, kids that weren't even maybe on the radar right now, they're on that team and they're, definitely productive. So we'll be doing some scouting for sure. And like I said, we'll get thrown into the fire with Highland and Carterville here within the week. So we'll see how it goes.
I just wanted to we've got you guys probably for a few more minutes. I wanted to just sort of broaden the scope a little bit. And we're going to be focusing on sports in the Effingham County area. And this is a good one. The basketball here, year in and year out, is always fun to watch, always competitive, always well coached. And I just wanted to give you each a chance to talk about having the opportunity to coach kids in this area and why you think it is that just from a year-to-year standpoint, we are blessed with good high school sports and especially basketball in the region. Anyone who wants to tackle that one?
Well, I'll go first. I have an article on my desk from, I don't know, whenever T-Town, you guys went to Taylorville, lost 52-51, I think. Allison Curtin, maybe.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, but that article sits on my desk and it talks about, this is just when I very first started, but I have it like highlighted. I remember Jeff Lampy wrote the article, but it was like, until more coaches are willing to put time in the summertime, that you're not going to build your program. So I basically copied what Dennis did and what Peggy Beaker did at Altamont and went down and started coaching the junior high also, and Laurie has her ex-players down there. And now I kind of have my, I know for us too, being in it this long, if you look at our assistant coaches, they either played for our school or have been with us for double-digit years. And you can't, there's no substitute for that at all. I mean, so my hats off to my assistants because we all think the same way. I always say there's four of it. Well, we actually have five, but when we had four, it's like one time I got outvoted 3-1. So I said, okay, I'm wrong, but 2-2 I win. But otherwise though, but our assistants are so important to helping us build our programs up. And then you had people that were willing to do it in the summertime and put in that extra effort. And then we started our own little tournament here in the summertime, and it got to be, all of a sudden 100 teams coming to play. So that just tells you how big the girls basketball has become, and Laurie's seen it, as a player, how much it's evolved over the years. So, but I will give so much credit to my help, because like I mentioned that vacation last year, I trusted them to run practice on Thursday night and Friday without me there. And we played a game on Monday. I don't think I could have done that 20 years ago. I couldn't have given up that responsibility. So.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
I for sure agree with everything that Jeff just said as far as assistant coaches. The last week I've not been at practice, and I didn't worry one bit due to my mother passing away. And I knew Josh and Maria would take care of business, and I would just say, okay, what'd you do? This is, here's some things. And, the assistant coaches, they don't get a lot of credit. But I will tell you that I have awesome assistant coaches. Josh has been with us for, seems like 17 years, whatever it is, 16 years, something like that. And I've got former player Maria, as well as what Coach Schafer said, and my daughter helps as well as a volunteer. They just know, your system, they know what you expect. The girls know, and when your kids know your assistant coaches are good, you can be gone and everything's going to flow just right. So for sure, my assistant coaches are awesome. My junior high program's awesome. The other thing I think is important is that your kids, and we're with kids, they're raised first class, they're with us, and they're first class young ladies. They're great role models, and it's awesome when you do so many things with the youth, and those kids look at those kids and say, I want to be that I want to be that when I get to high school. I want to be, like a Lexi Newbergy. I want to be, Izzy Hardick and Emily Conkle. And that just breeds that success that's there. They see it, and you can see it in their eyes when they come to camp, that's where they want to get. So I love having those young kids be with our high school kids, and it gets them excited about it. So I do think, we're very fortunate in our community. We've had a lot of success. Again, it's hard work for sure. It's also parents allowing the hard work to happen. I think that's a huge key. And it's just going to keep going as long as that system can stay in place.
Yeah, I would add to both the coaches. I would echo what they're saying. Uniquely for me, I get the opportunity to coach basketball, and I'm not an educator at the institution formally. I think coaching is education. I've been in the financial industry for most of my career, and lived in multiple states across the U.S. And I've always tried to give back to some capacity at the high school level, college level, or even middle school or below, grade school level, as far as from a basketball standpoint. So I feel very blessed to get the opportunity to coach kids for basketball because of the love of the game, but also the relationships that I've been able to build with these kids and their families and parents, and knowing that I moved from Effingham from Dallas, which is a complete adjustment. It was an adjustment for my family and I, and through this process, through these kids in the game of basketball, it's really given me something to inspire me or my family as a father or as a leader, mentor, coach, to really give back to these kids and really help them along the way. And if we can show them one thing through the game of basketball that's going to help them as they advance into their careers or into college or later on in life as parents, I think we've done our job. If they're willing to reach back to us after the fact that they graduated because of the things that we've did while they were in our programs, I think we've done our job. And that's really, why I've always done it. And the kids have been at St. Anthony, the administration have been extremely supportive of me. And I will mention from an assistant coaching standpoint, due to the pandemic, I've reached out to multiple coaches last year in the area. It's hard for us to find assistant coaches. So we have an interesting dynamic at St. Anthony, where my wife is our JV head coach and assistant. This year we did bring on Jan Braden, who has high school experience for 21 years in Kaskaskia and Sullivan and other places that he's coached. But I think my wife has really enjoyed it the last few years. And as far as when you talk about being able to rely on your coaching staff while you're out of practice or you're not able to join, because I'm commuting currently right now from our home office in Iowa back to Effingham, which is 4 hours each week, which makes it difficult. But luckily my employer is accommodating. I'm able to work remote over the next 4 months during the season. But I'm very blessed for our assistant coaching staff and for what they bring to the table for our kids and for our families and parents that have believed in the things that we're trying to do, and excited about how far we came in just a short period of time.
Coach Rios, I got to give you credit. 10 years ago, I say 10, I don't even know how many it was. My wife coached the 6th grade at St. Anthony, and when my daughter played, and I was her assistant. And I'm kind of unique when I'm an assistant because I'm not a very quiet assistant, but a lot of that year, the head coach put me in place a lot. So, it was a learning experience to be working with your spouse. If that vote's 2-2, like Chase says, that 1-1 vote, I'm afraid that as a head coach, you may be losing if it's a 1-1 vote on things. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I would say, from that standpoint, my wife has one-upped me just about everything I've did in my playing career. We both played at the same 4 years college. I said we got all the wins and she got all the awards because she was a 2-time All-American and one in basketball, one in softball. And then she coached at the college level, which I've never coached at the college level. So very, very blessed to have somebody with that experience. And then even from a female standpoint, where I feel our girls react very well to her and the way that, things go on throughout the year, that I feel she has good dialogue with them and communication. But I know my role still on the coaching staff, and I
There
think
you go.
we both play it really well.
And Laurie, one thing you touched on, I know Jeff is the same way. your kids being at your camps you run when you're younger, that you have for your younger kids. You know, back in the day, I always had a lot of my kids there, and I would tell them, you know, you guys are looked up to as heroes by these younger kids. You know, when you've got those first and second graders, and I remember back in the day helping run the old Tom Bryant shooting camp, and those little, you know, that's when you sometimes have younger kids. And sometimes our athletes don't realize the pedestal they're put on by these little kids. And it's good for them to do that because 99% of them embrace it and just love working with those little kids.
For sure. Yeah, and that's what's awesome. You know, we try with Coach Reeder. We've gone down to the grade school and we've had lunch with the kids. We've played recess with the kids. We did high five Fridays at the junior high. And it's good for those kids to realize, you know, your actions, you know, they speak volumes to these kids, and those kids are so excited. And again, now they're going to get to finally come back to the games and get to watch the kids play. So for sure, I think that's huge.
And
I remember one of our camps, well, the year that we had such a good season, because I had those seniors, like those 9 seniors, which you never hardly ever have 9 seniors on a basketball team anymore. But I had them tell the kids like why they started playing this game or whatever. And, you know, like I remember Miranda Fox saying like, you know, I wanted to play to win a championship or whatever. And Carson Fairday said I played because I loved it. Then my daughter Skylar gets on there like, I just played because all my friends did, you know, but you know, just to get them started, and we talk about all the basketball accomplishments, but all the other things the kids do, you know, like for the school, for the other kids. I mean, I've had 30 or 31 valedictorians in my 24 years of coaching. That's how blessed I've been, like with getting those kind of kids, and it's fun to see. You know, like Laurie having the chance to have some out now, but it's just fun to see them when they get out of basketball and see what they're doing and all the different careers and good things that they're doing out there.
Well, I think that's a pretty good note to wrap up on, unless anybody's got anything else they feel like they need to get off their chest right now. But I know you guys are, this is a busy time of year. I don't want to tie you up too much longer, but I do want to say I appreciate you taking the time. It's always good to talk to all 3 of you, and I know you're all going to have good years. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. Mike, you got anything else?
I thank you for your time. I know on the eve of starting your season, that 2 week of practice, you've really, you know, that Christmas morning, that first day of practice, and then you go through 2 weeks and now you're back, you've hit the reset button and you're chomping at the bit again to get the season started. And you're going to be in the middle of the first quarter, your first game, and you're going to go, God, we needed to work on this. Why didn't we work on this yet? You know, it's the process. I mean, I go back to our first guest who talked about the process, and, you know, you guys have a good process. I'm sure that, you know, Whitey and I will run into you doing a game or 2 along the way, and we look forward to that. Look forward to seeing you guys play. There's nothing more fun than basketball in this area. I really feel that way. I've been around it my whole life, and I'm just, you know, I appreciate the fact you guys were able to take your time this evening to help us out and do this podcast.
Thank
All
you,
right.
and everybody.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
All
Hey,
right.
good luck, Laurie and Jeff, for your season. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
All right. Well, with that, we will call it an evening. Again, thanks to Laurie Thompson from Teutopolis, Jeff Schafer from Effingham High School, and Aaron Rios from St. Anthony High School. Good luck to them on the girls' basketball seasons. They're all getting started this week, and we will be keeping tabs on them all year long. We are going to do our best to try to get a similar show like this for the boys' basketball coaches in the area in the next week or 2. And we're going to be doing a lot of talking about high school basketball for the next few months. So if you're listening to this or watching this, make sure you click that subscribe button on YouTube, tell your friends about it, share it around, and we hope that you won't be disappointed. So until next week, thanks again to all our guests, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.